Picture this. It's the year 1590, and John White steps onto the shores of Roanoke Island, his heart pounding with hope. He's been away for 3 long years, desperate to reunite with his daughter, his granddaughter, and the settlers he left behind. But as his boots crunch on the sandy shore, an eerie silence greets him. The houses are gone, the fort is dismantled, and there's not a soul in sight. All that remains is a single word, Croton, carved into a wooden post, and the letters, CRO, scratched into a tree. What happened to the 117 men, women, and children who vanished without a trace? This is the story of the Lost Colony of Roanoke, America's oldest unsolved mystery. Our tale begins over 400 years ago, in the late 16th century. During the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, England was locked in a fierce rivalry with Spain, both nations racing to claim land in the New World. Sir Walter Raleigh, a bold explorer and one of the Queen's favorites, saw a chance to plant England's flag in North America. He dreamed of a colony that could challenge Spain, provide riches, and serve as a base to raid Spanish ships. In 1585, he sent his first group to Roanoke Island, a small strip of land off what's now North Carolina. That first attempt didn't go well. About 100 men, mostly soldiers led by a tough military man named Ralph Lane, landed on the island. They struggled from the start. They depended on the local Native Americans for food, but tensions flared. The English accused the natives of stealing, and after a series of clashes, including the killing of a native leader, the settlers were left hungry and alone. A year later, in 1586, the famous explorer Sir Francis Drake stopped by and offered them a ride back to England. They jumped at the chance and abandoned the colony, but Raleigh wasn't ready to give up. In 1587, he tried again, this time with a new plan. Instead of just soldiers, he sent families, 90 men, 17 women, and 11 children, 117 settlers in all, hoping to build a lasting community. Leading them was John White, an artist and mapmaker who'd been on the first trip. They set sail from England in May, dreaming of a fresh start in a land full of promise. When they arrived at Roanoke Island in July 1587, things didn't go as planned. They were supposed to settle in Chesapeake Bay, a better spot further north. But the ship's pilot, Simon Fernandez, refused to take them any farther. So, they stayed on Roanoke. What they found wasn't encouraging. The old fort was overgrown with weeds, and they stumbled across the bones of one of the first settlers, a grim hint of what might lie ahead. Still, they rolled up their sleeves and started rebuilding. John White sketched the island's plants, animals, and people, hoping to make friends with the local Croton tribe. One of them, Manteo, had even been to England and spoke English. On August 13th, White baptized Manteo as a Christian and named him Lord of Roanoke, a sign of goodwill. 5 days later, on August 18th, something wonderful happened. Eleanor Dare, John White's daughter, gave birth to a baby girl named Virginia Dare. She was the first English child born in the New World, and her name honored Queen Elizabeth, the Virgin Queen. The settlers celebrated, seeing her birth as a promise of brighter days ahead. But those bright days didn't last. The settlers had arrived too late to plant crops, and their food was running out fast. The Crotons were friendly, but other tribes, like the Secotans, remembered the trouble with the first colony and weren't so welcoming. One settler was even killed while searching for crabs along the shore. With supplies dwindling and danger growing, the colonists begged Governor White to sail back to England for help. White didn't want to leave. His daughter and newborn granddaughter were there, but he knew the colony's survival depended on it. Before he left, he made a deal with the settlers. If they had to leave the island, they should carve their new location on a tree or post. If they were in trouble, they'd add a cross above it. White sailed away in late August 1587, leaving behind his family and the 117 settlers. When he reached England, though, he hit a wall. The country was gearing up for war with Spain. In 1588, the Spanish Armada attacked, and every ship in England was needed to fight. White tried everything to get back to Roanoke, but no one would take him. It wasn't until 1590, 3 years later, that he finally found a ship willing to make the trip. On August 18, 1590, Virginia Dare's third birthday, White returned to Roanoke Island. What he saw broke his heart. The colony was deserted. The houses had been taken apart. The fort was gone, and there wasn't a single trace of the settlers. Then he spotted the clues. Croton, etched into a post, and CRO on a tree. No cross symbol, which meant they hadn't left in a panic. White figured they'd gone to Croton Island, about 50 miles south, where the friendly tribe lived. He wanted to sail there and find them, but a massive storm was rolling in. The ship's captain refused to wait, and despite White's pleas, they left. That was the last time White ever saw Roanoke. So what happened to the lost colony? No one knows for sure, but over the centuries, people have come up with plenty of ideas. Some think hostile tribes, like the Powhatans or Tuscaroras, attacked and killed them all. Others guess they tried to sail back to England in a small boat and drowned in the Atlantic. But there's no sign of a fight or a shipwreck to back those up. The most popular theory is that the settlers, desperate and starving, joined the Croton tribe to survive. The Croton carving points that way, and years later, settlers at Jamestown heard rumors of Europeans living with the natives. In the 1700s, an explorer named John Lawson met members of the Hatteras tribe, descendants of the Crotons, who said their ancestors included white people. Some even had light skin or blue eyes. There's more to wonder about, too. In the 1930s, stones were found with messages supposedly written by Eleanor Dare, telling a story of hardship and survival. Most experts think they're fake, but they keep the mystery alive. Today, people are still searching for answers. Scientists use DNA tests to see if any modern folks might be related to the settlers, and archaeologists scan Hatteras Island with special tools, looking for buried clues. More than 400 years later, we still don't know the truth. Did the settlers die in the wilderness? Did they sail away and sink? Or did they blend into the Native American world, leaving their English lives behind? Their story is a haunting mix of hope, struggle, and secrets. A reminder of how tough it was to start anew in an unknown land. The lost colony of Roanoke keeps us guessing, and maybe one day, we'll uncover what really happened to those 117 souls who vanished into history. Until then, their mystery lives on, as puzzling and powerful as ever.